Today we are going to solve some of the newly framed and interesting questions from parabola and circles. The intention behind this lecture is to give you the exposure of problem solving from basics. ठीक है, तो हम कुछ अच्छे problems लेंगे और उसे fundamental से with minimum formulas we'll try to solve the question so as to help you understand the concept in a clear way. So let's start with the first question. Now a general trick of like problem solving will be, what a general method of problem solving is, आप सबसे पहले तो क्वेश्चन को सही से पढ़ लो, ठीक है, and then try to create a mind mapping of the questions. It's like what exactly is given in the problem and what is being asked, and then bridge the gap with the formulas or maybe the concepts. I'll try to keep formulas minimum, so try to recall the concepts which you know related to that, okay, and then we'll connect the dots and how we can go further. So the basic idea is, जब कभी भी कोई भी questions अपने को मिल रहे हैं तो उसको पूरा बेसिक से समझने का प्रयास करेंगे, बिकॉज 90% क्वेश्चन इज सॉल्व वंस यू अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन प्रॉपरली. देयर आफ्टर इज जस्ट लाइक द कैलकुलेशंस. So the physics of the mathematics has to be done first, and then you can just do the calculation, which is mathematical part. So let's start the first question. So let's read the question as a general strategy for problem solving, right? Before you see the solution, it will be nice if you can pause the video for let's say 2 or 3 minutes and try to think over the method by yourself, and then come back and see the solutions. Okay, you can do it for each and every questions. That will be helpful to make best use of this video. So questions क्या है? Consider points ai 8 comma I and I is running from 1 2 3 4. तो अपने पास 4 points है, because if I changes points will change. So a1 is 8 comma 1, a2 is 8 comma 2, a3 is 8 comma 3, and a4 8 comma 4. Let the focus of the parabola y square equal to 4x. So y square equals 4x is a parabola given. Let's say its focus is f. Okay, so they have already given. Let f be the focus of the parabola. Let pi be the points on the parabola. So we have points like p1, p2, p3 and p4, because I is already running from 1 to 2. So pi is the point. Now what is the speciality of these points on the parabola? They are points such that perimeter of triangle ai pi f is minimum. So if I keep ai equals 1, I should get perimeter of a1 p1 f minimum. For I equals 2, perimeter of a2 p2 f minimum, perimeter of a3 p3 f minimum, and a4 p4 f minimum. Now you see the point p1 p2 p3 p4 and the points a1 a2 a3 a4, ये चारों इंडिपेंडेंट पॉइंट्स है. तो बेसिकली ये क्वेश्चन क्या है? 4 डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन का कॉम्बिनेशन है एक में, राइट? सो दे हैव गिवन यू द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ 4 डिफरेंट क्वेश्चंस टुगेदर. So what basically I'll do, I'll just solve one part of the question, and similarly the physics will not change for the other part. तो हम a1 p1 f को मिनिमम करने का कोशिश करते हैं. Perimeter of this will try to minimize. Okay. a1 is already known 8 comma 1. तो 8 comma 1 पैराबोला के अंदर होगा या बाहर? फोकस पैराबोला का 1 comma 0 है. That you can check, it will be inside the parabola, because if I'll keep x equal to 8, okay, if I'll keep x equal to 8 somewhere, y will be plus minus root 32. So root 32 is 5 point something, right? So 5 point something at x equal to 8, almost 5 point something is a point. Height of 5 point something will be on the parabola, right? So the point 8 comma 1 is definitely inside. That you can check by by putting the value of x y in y square minus 4x expression and getting the sign less than 0. Anyway, so this is we have which point 8 comma 1 over here. तो इसको a1 से डिनोट करते हैं, ठीक है. अब अपने को क्या फाइंड करना है? Now we have a random point p1 on the parabola, so we have to minimize this sum of distance, right? We have to minimize p1f plus p1a plus af. So basically we have to minimize the perimeter of triangle. Now since we know a1f is already fixed, a1f, this distance is fixed by distance formula, right? तो A1F को मिनिमाइज करने के लिए like basically this is the fixed quantity, so there is no need to minimize A1F. Okay, so the question is asking us to minimize the perimeter of the triangle P1AF. Since we know A1F is already fixed, so basically we have to minimize P1F plus AP1. Now to minimize this we can use two methods. So method one can be a blind approach. आप डायरेक्टली कोई भी पॉइंट पैराबोला पे ले सकते हो टी स्क्वायर कॉमा 2t एज अ पैरामेट्रिक फॉर्म, and the distance P1F plus AF1 that can be written as what? P1F plus AP1 is basically t square minus 1 whole square plus 4t square by distance formula plus root over 8,1 से उसका distance t square minus 8 whole square plus 2t minus 1 whole square. So this is basically a distance function, right? So let's call it ft. Now you can differentiate this f dash t equal to 0, and by doing so you will get a value of t. Clear? By doing so you will get a value of t. So that is left as an exercise for you. In fact you can manipulate this expression also. It might seem clumsy क्योंकि आपका ये expression square root में आ रहा है, so you'll get 1/2 root something and so on. लेकिन this expression is a minus b whole square plus 2ab, so it's basically plus 4ab. So this expression is nothing but t square plus 1 mod, right? And plus same expression copy paste here. So basically you can differentiate and get the answer. Okay, so that is method one, but we want some smart way of solving this question. So from here you get the value of t which will give you minimum. So t spatial which will give you minimum. And how are you sure it's minimum? Because you can even calculate double derivative and we can check it to be greater than 0. So curve will be something like that. So slope is increasing. Slope here was, let's say, 0, then here it's 2, 3. So kind of if double derivative is greater than 0, we must have concave upward kind of parabola, right? Anyway, but you can write visually also, because as the point moves further away from here, this sum of length keeps on increasing monotonically. So we'll have some perimeter over here, okay, which clearly is more. So perimeter variance is at this point, if as the point P slides over the parabola, perimeter is changing like this, right? So somewhere in between, somewhere in this zone we expect minimum to come. So there is no need to evaluate this and like kill your time. आप mentally इसको कर सकते हो, कहीं ना कहीं बीच में minimum आएगा. So anyway, so this calculation if you do, you'll get a very interesting point that I will tell you at the last. Now is there a pure geometrical way of doing this? Yes. So let's do using method 2. तो अब हम इसको purely geometrically will try to do it. Okay. तो geometrically क्या करेंगे? So we have parabola. Focus is already there 1, 0. We have got a point A1 8, 1, right? We have got a point A1 8, 1 and P1 is a random point. Now we know from the property of parabola, if I'll join P1F, so this is focal length, so that will be equal to P1D, the distance of point from directrix. So P1F is P1D 1, which is by definition of parabola. And now you see the interesting thing. So if I want to minimize this distance plus this distance, right? This distance plus this distance is same as this distance plus this distance. Hence this plus this minimum will imply that the minimum distance of A1 to D1 via point P1 on the parabola. So under what condition we get a minimum distance? Let's say P1 is here. We'll get A1 P1 plus P1 D1. So clearly this plus this distance will get some value. Similarly this plus this distance will get some value. Okay, what if I draw directly a line joining A1 and perpendicular to this directrix? So in this case, this distance will be minimum among all, right? That you can clearly see, because if you see this distance, it will definitely be lesser than any of the distance, because for this point this perpendicular distance is gonna be same and ye wala is more than this, right? Ye beech wala. So we got a very fantastic solution of this problem. Like if I'll take a point A1 and directly if I'll draw perpendicular to directrix, so this is the corresponding point P1 for which minimum distance will be achieved, and the corresponding triangle will be like this. Okay, so if we'll join this, so this plus this will become minimum, which is equivalent to this plus this, because minimum distance from a point to a line is a straight line. Okay, so this is the given a special triangle. So let me just color it. So for this triangle, you get minimum distance case, and you can clearly see what is the y coordinate of the point at which minimum distance is achieved, or for which minimum distance is achieved. So y coordinate of the point P1 is basically 1. So that is same as point A1. So that's very interesting, because आप सेम आइडिया को रिपीट कर सकते हो दूसरे पॉइंट के लिए 8,2. तो फिर मिनिमम डिस्टेंस वाले केस में y कोऑर्डिनेट क्या आएगा, इसका 2 आ जाएगा. 8,3 के लिए मिनिमम डिस्टेंस वाले केस में y कोऑर्डिनेट 3 आ जाएगा. 8,4 के लिए मिनिमम डिस्टेंस 4 आ जाएगा. 8,1 के लिए 1 है. So if I add all the coordinates, the sum of ordinates means y coordinate. Okay, y coordinates. The answer will be 7 to 9 and 10. So C is the correct answer. Now those of you who have done using calculus, you can comment it. You will get the value of t as exactly half. So this will be interesting. And value of t half means this point will become 1 by 4 comma 1. Okay. So the point P1 is having exactly same y coordinate as the point A1, which means this line must be a straight line, right, to the directrix. It means the point must be a point which is parallel to the axis of the parabola, and corresponding to this will have that special triangle. I hope you enjoyed this question. तो ये काफ़ी एक अच्छा क्वेश्चन था बेसिक आइडियाज, ठीक है, where we have used like the focal distance property from directrix and the focus. एक्चुअली आप इसके यूज से एक और बेसिक क्वेश्चंस कर सकते हो. सपोज इफ यू हैव पैराबोला, लेट्स से y square equals 4x only. So with focus as a center, we can draw many circles like so. Family of circle concentric with focus as a center can be drawn. If I ask you what is the circle of smallest radius that you can have here, okay, you have to find a circle having a smallest radius. Means from minimum distance point from parabola. So let's say P is any random point of the parabola. If you can find PS minimum, you are done, right? Because minimum distance point from the parabola will give you a circle of shortest radius और smallest radius, ठीक है. तो इसके लिए फिर आपको शायद लग सकता है जो वो कहीं पे पॉइंट होगा, यू कैन टेक अ पॉइंट टी स्क्वायर कमा 2t. आप फिर से डिस्टेंस कैलकुलेट कर सकते हो टी स्क्वायर माइनस 1 होल स्क्वायर, क्योंकि ये 1,0 आने वाला है, and plus 4t square, and that becomes easy. So this will become t square plus 1. Mod you can take away, so because it's already positive. तो minimum value इसका क्या आ जाएगा, 1 आ जाएगा. Okay, so d will be getting equal to 1. So at t equal to 0, you'll get the minimum distance, and that's surprising. Maybe from the diagram it's not coming because my diagram was not up to the scale, so it was creating illusion because focus is little bit closer to the vertex. Okay, if we'll draw the actual mechanical diagram. तो यहाँ से एक जो सबसे if the circle starts growing, so for the first time it will touch the vertex of parabola, and thereafter it will start cutting. So minimum distance will be this distance of vertex from focus, which is 1. Clear? आप इसको दूसरे लॉजिक से ही बता सकते थे. I am drawing just in this diagram. If you will take any random point P, so minimum distance, this will be this distance is gonna same as this distance, right? Now what is value of this distance? If the coordinate of point P is t square comma 2t, or let's say any x comma y, then this distance is fixed already 1, and this is x coordinate of point P, right? So the minimum value of x will be 0 when the point slides to vertex. So hence, under this situation, when the line joining focus and vertex is there, we'll get the minimum value of the circle. ठीक है. अब थर्ड तरीके से भी कर सकते हो, विच आई एम लिविंग अप टू यू एज एन एक्सरसाइज. अब क्या करो, सर्कल का रेडियस सपोज यू एज्यूम r, सो यू विल गेट x माइनस 1 होल स्क्वायर प्लस y स्क्वायर इक्वल्स r स्क्वायर, and now you solve this with parabola y square equal to 4x. If you will do so, you will get very interesting answer. Okay, because mathematics will either slap you or it will greet you. So try to get the answer from this and think like why it's working or why it's not working. Because once you'll solve this, since a tangent kit, so you'll try to make d equal to 0. Like, will d equal to 0 give the correct solution? Because it feels so. If two curves touch each other, okay, if I'll solve this with respect to x coordinate, okay, if I'll put y square equal to 4x in the circle equation, So we'll get two x values, x1 and x2. So x1 y1 and x2 y2. Now clearly the x value must be same by the symmetricity, so I'll force the restriction of d equal to 0. The moment we'll keep d equal to 0, you'll not get the answer of radius would be 1, like, because from these discussions r must be 1 that we expect. लेकिन आपके पास r1 नहीं आएगा, या तो मैथमेटिक्स आपको थप्पड़ लगाएगा या फिर आपको 0 इक्वल टू 0 दे के ग्रीड करेगा. तुम सोचो इस दोनों में से कौन केस आएगा और क्यों आएगा. ओके, the exact logic for this will be discussed in the next lecture. So let's move to the next question now. So next question, again let's read the question. We have a point c x comma 0. This is a variable point and we have got 2 point a and b. They are fixed such that angle ACB is maximum. So if I'll draw a rough picture, we have 2 point 0 comma a, let's call it by point a, and another point 0 comma b, and x comma 0 is a variable point. X comma 0 is variable. Now the question states that we have to maximize this angle. So before we solve the question, let's have a feel of the question. Since a and b is fixed points, so as we start moving x, okay, as we start moving point c along x axis, क्योंकि x का 0 x एक्सिस पे होगा, इसका y कोऑर्डिनेट ऑलवेज 0 है, तो अगर हम इस पॉइंट को x एक्सिस पे मूव कराएं, सपोज ये यहाँ आ गया, तो एंगल क्या होगा आप क्लियरली देख सकते हो. ये शायद यहाँ पे जो एंगल है उससे थोड़ा बड़ा हो जाए, मे बी. इफ़ इट्स गोइंग टू फार द एंगल स्टार्ट्स डिक्रीजिंग, राइट, इट्स टू लेस लिटिल बिट. And if you are going to infinity, you can feel like angle will still further decrease. So in the infinity, at infinity, maybe angle is almost 0. Exactly same thing will happen over here. So even without solving the question, you have a feel like as you are moving away from x-axis, whether in positive or negative direction, this angle keeps on reducing. Okay. So is it monotonically reducing or maybe somewhere in between maximum will come? So let's take point C very close to origin. तो आप देख सकते हो इस केस में एंगल बहुत छोटा हो गया, राइट. ये बहुत छोटू सा एंगल है और जैसे ही आप इस डायरेक्शन में मूव कर रहे हो तो एंगल इंक्रीज कर रहा है थोड़ा सा, राइट. फिर कुछ मैक्सिमम आएगा कहीं पे और फिर देखो धीरे धीरे डिक्रीज कर रहा है. आप डायग्राम देख के फील कर सकते हो. तो एंगल कैसा बिहेव कर रहा है, स्टार्टिंग में नियर अबाउट 0, ऑलमोस्ट इट इज इन ICU, ठीक है, बहुत छोटा एंगल है. फिर एंगल इंक्रीज कर रहा है और फिर स्लोली डिक्रीज करके almost tending to 0 हो जाएगा infinity पे. It means somewhere in between we'll get the maximum value. So for some location of x spatial we'll get maximum theta. तो अगर ये हम x versus theta का ग्राफ रफली प्लॉट करें तो that makes sense. Very good. तो इस क्वेश्चंस का फिर से मैं आपको दो मेथड दूंगा. We'll solve it in two method. So method one is again a standard way because in examination you can't afford to think for all questions in a smart way. That's why I am trying my best to show you the way you should attempt in the examination hall, and in the second way how you can smartly handle the questions. So method one is again straightforward. So let's see if we have got 2 point 0 comma b 0 comma a, we have let's say random point x comma 0. So in method one we will not think, let mathematics think over this. Let's call this angle is theta. तो अब तुम्हें ऑलरेडी डायग्राम से फील आ रहा है जो थीटा विल बी समवेयर बिटवीन 0 to पाई बाई 2. इट मीन्स थीटा इज ऑलरेडी एक्यूट. यहाँ पे ऑब्ट्यूज का कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं है. क्लियर, बिकॉज ऑल द ऑप्शंस कंटेन्स a and b to be positive. Okay, a, b and c is positive, so of course all the theta variations will be acute angle. We are only considered, I'm only bothered about in the positive x-axis because of these options. Anyway, you can do the same for negative. तो यहाँ से tan theta, because we know how to relate theta with tan b, tan theta क्या होगा, m1 minus m2 y1 plus m1 m2. Since theta is acute, so I have to take mod anyway. Now what is the slope of this line? So let's call m1 and this line let's call m2. So m1 क्या वैल्यू आएगा, m1 is b by minus x and m2 you are getting similarly a by minus x. So just put those value. So minus b by x plus a by x by 1 plus ab by x square. ठीक है. अब यहाँ से एक्चुअली वी कैन सी इफ विल evaluate this, you'll get a minus b okay, into x square plus ab divided by, sorry, from here what we are getting, 1 by x, you can take common, so that into x square a minus b, this equality I mean, divided by x square plus ab. So x cancels, so hence we are having expression as x times a minus b by x square plus ab. Is this clear? Is this clear? वेरी गुड. ओके, अब यहाँ पे हम क्या करेंगे, इस एक्सप्रेशन को डिफरेंशिएट करेंगे. तो ये ऑलरेडी चूंकि ओके, दिस वैल्यू इज ऑलरेडी कांस्टेंट बाबू. हियर अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस डायग्राम दिस विल बी नेगेटिव. एक्चुअली डजंट मैटर बिकॉज tan theta is already acute, because theta is an acute angle from our filling of the question. So since I have taken mod, so we can make it b minus a, right? That makes sense. Basically it's mod of a minus b, so that I'm writing b minus a because b is more than a. So now if we'll differentiate this, so just we have to differentiate this part because anyway it's constant. So if I'll take a function f of x, let me do over here now, create a space. So now if I'll take function f as x by x square plus ab and we'll set its derivative. ऊपर वाले को डिफरेंशिएट करो, नीचे वाले को छोड़ो, राइट? तो 1 इंटू एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस ए माइनस ऊपर वाले को छोड़ो, नीचे वाले को डिफरेंशिएट करो, डिवाइडेड बाय नीचे वाले का होल स्क्वायर, राइट? तो ये अपने पास आके बना ए बी माइनस एक्स स्क्वायर बाय एक्स स्क्वायर प्लस ए बी होल स्क्वायर. It's very interesting. If we'll set it 0, you'll get a value of x as root ab. Now how are you sure? Like ये value पे ये at x equals root ab, we are getting maximum or minimum. तो यहाँ आपको feeling से पता चल ही रहा है जो we are getting maximum. वैसे अगर आप basic calculus आपको पता है तो डबल डेरिवेटिव अगर इस पॉइंट पे इसको अगेन डेरिवेटिव करोगे और ये वैल्यू डालोगे and that x special root ab, you'll get this quantity to be what? Since you are getting maximum, so you'll get less than 0. डबल डेरिवेटिव लेस देन 0 कैसे होगा? अगर आपको कैलकुलस में थोड़ा इश्यू जाए तो देखिए यहाँ पे स्लोप 0 होने वाला है. हियर यू विल गेट 0 स्लोप. इफ यू आर मूविंग लिटिल बिट अहेड द स्लोप इज गोना बी नेगेटिव, राइट? लिटिल बिट बिफोर स्लोप इज पॉजिटिव. सो व्हाट इज चेंज इन स्लोप? सो फाइनल स्लोप इज नेगेटिव माइनस इनिशियल स्लोप इज 0 डिवाइडेड बाय चेंज. यू आर ऑलवेज इंक्रीजिंग, चेंज इज ऑलवेज इन पॉजिटिव एक्स डायरेक्शन. सो फाइनल एक्स बाय minus initial x is always positive, so it's less than 0. So it's like change of slope is negative, hence we have to calculate this. If double derivative is negative, we must have this kind of ambience. Okay, तो वहाँ से आपको पता चल गया x equal to root ab. Now question is done. It means if this x is a special point which is equal to root ab, so corresponding to this point we'll get this maximum angle theta max. बहुत ही अच्छा questions basics पे. Then options will be a into b is how much? So a into b is where? It's the last term of this ordered triplet. So 9 into 4 is 36, is a square root is 6. 16 4 square root 8, 4 1 is square root this, 100 is square root is 1. So all 4 answer is correct. Now some of you might be feeling, sir, square root of 4 why not plus minus 2? It's wrong, Babu, because by definition root a square x root over x square is mod x. This is by definition. Maybe mathematicians were free to select the definition of negative mod x also, but this is a rituals and we have to be abide by that. I hope like one day we'll be celebrated and things work on my and your own name. ठीक है, my wish is there. लेकिन आप स्क्वायर रूट को बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट जो बाय डेफिनेशन जो है आप उसको एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू लेते हो और पॉजिटिव डिफाइन करते हो. ये तो हुआ एक ब्लाइंड सॉल्यूशन जिसमें मैंने डायरेक्ट कैलकुलस का यूज़ किया और उसको मिनिमाइज मैक्सिमाइज कर दिया. So for most of the problem, blindly you can solve questions like this. आप इसको थोड़ा सिंपल में भी सॉल्व कर सकते हो and you can use geometry to solve this question. Or let's see. So I hope you have enjoyed the calculus solution. Now what I'm going to do is we'll solve this question in a geometrical way. तो चलिए अब geometrically इसको कैसे सॉल्व करें. तो ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है क्योंकि आप सॉल्यूशन से भी हिंट शायद ला सकते हो. एक्स स्क्वायर ए बी वॉज लुकिंग लाइक वी आर गेटिंग अ फील ऑफ पी ए इंटू पी बी इक्वल्स पी टी का स्क्वायर काइंड ऑफ. सो सम काइंड ऑफ सर्कल कनेक्शन इज देयर बट दैट्स स्टिल टू फार, राइट? तो ए का वैल्यू इज 0 ए, बी इज अ फिक्स पॉइंट 0 बी, and C is any point such that we have to maximize the angle. What if I connect point A to C, right? So of course we are getting a triangle, right? So let's say we have some theta over here. Now we already know the length AB is fixed, right? That is basically B minus A. According to our diagram, it's B minus A. Clear? Now B and A is positive negative depending upon option. Anyway, so I'm taking a case without any loss of generality. जो B ऊपर है A नीचे है, कुछ भी हो आंसर में फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, because it's just a name. ठीक है? अब देखो इस ट्रायंगल में since we know B minus A is fixed and theta we have to change. Okay, theta is changing depending upon location as I've described. तो यहाँ साइन रूल लगा सकते हैं हम A by sin A. साइन रूल ऑल यू नो A by sin A in any triangle equals B by sin B equals C by sin C equals 2R. So this is known as generalized or extended sin rule. आप इसका बेसिक लेक्चर सॉल्यूशंस ऑफ ट्रायंगल में देख सकते हो या फिर इवन इन एनसीईआरटी. सो दिस इज डायरेक्टली इट्स प्रूफ इज वेरी सिंपल दैट यू कैन डिराइव बाय योरसेल्फ. ओके, आई वांट यू टू डिराइव इट बाय योरसेल्फ. मतलब इंटरेस्टिंग. वेयर आर इज द सर्कमरेडियस. इट मीन्स अपने पास अगर कोई ट्रायंगल है ए बी सी, अगर उसका साइड लेंथ ए बी और सी है, आई कैन ऑलवेज ड्रॉ अ सर्कल आउट ऑफ दिस एंड वेरी सरप्राइजिंगली इफ विल टेक दिस साइड लेंथ बाय साइन ऑफ दिस एंगल दैट विल गिव यू ट्वाइस ऑफ radius of this circle, means diameter of that circle you'll get. And that is very interesting thing. Okay, it's magical like how this side length divided by sine of this angle gives the diameter of the circumcircle. Okay, anyway, so assuming like this information is known to you, अब मैं इसको ऐसे कर सकता हूँ a by sin a which means here b minus a by sin theta that will be 2r. तो यहाँ से sin theta अपने पास आ गया b minus a by 2r. Now look, what is the significance of r? If I'll draw a circle passing through these 3 points, okay, so the radius of this circle signifies the value of r, right? So that is basically circumradius. Clear? अब मैं क्या करना बोलूँ, अगर मुझे sin theta को मैक्सिमम करना है, since we already know like theta is going to be acute according to the construction of the problem. So sin theta का basic graph is this from 0 to pi. In fact here we are interested in only between the interval 0 to pi by 2. Okay, so if theta increases क्या होगा, sin theta का वैल्यू इंक्रीज करेगा 0 to pi by 2 में, एटलीस्ट इन द एक्यूट एंगल केस. ठीक है, तो क्योंकि मुझे ऑलरेडी मालूम है तो यहाँ पे c चेंज होगा, so theta is going to be acute. So as theta increases sin theta increases, right? It means to maximize theta I can just maximize sin theta for this particular problem, and to maximize sin theta I have to minimize r should be minimum. Is this clear? क्योंकि ये आपका फिक्स क्वांटिटी है, दिस इज फिक्स. तो अगर मैं r को रेडियस को सर्कम रेडियस को मिनिमम कर दूँ, सो दैट विल बी द पोजीशन ऑफ c. सो करस्पॉन्डिंग टू दैट, बिकॉज c is changing, so every time c is changing circle will change. Let's say c comes here, so we'll have a new circle, right? We'll have a new circle. So you can clearly see out of all these family of circles, let's say c goes here, so now we have a bigger circle over here. It makes sense, passing through AB and C, and the radius of these circles is reflected here. So can you think of a circle having minimum radius which passes through AB and C? Now you might ask like there will be infinitely many circles. No, there will be unique circle which will be passing through these 2 points and also passing through a point on x-axis. Okay, so of course circle passing through AB can be infinitely many, right? There will be circles like this, there will be circles like this, family of circles, but we want circle to touch the x-axis. So in a limiting case this will be our magical circle for which we are trying to search the game, right? So this is our magical circle which will give minimum radius. Why? Because for any other circle you can clearly see radius is increasing. You can clearly see it's becoming more and more, because from the diagram itself you are having a feel. Even you can give different logic. Okay, that another logic also I'll tell. So this corresponding to this will get the answer for r minimum, and that solves the question, because the situations at which आपको मिनिमम रेडियस वाला सर्कल मिलेगा जब ये सर्कल टेंजेंशियल होगा. सो यह पॉइंट ए एंड पॉइंट बी एंड दिस इज टेंजेंशियल पॉइंट सी. And you know from power of point theorem or Ptolemy's theorem that PA into PB, this into this equals this square, right? So what I have used, if you have any point P inside or outside, intersecting chord theorem they tell. So PA into PB is going to be PC into PD. Even you can skip that calculation even if you don't know. So if this is x comma 0 and this distance is what? A, and distance to B is B, so x square, so this square is PA into PB, so AB equals x square, and that gives you again x equals root AB. So that was a surprisingly beautiful relation out of this. In fact, you can prove this from similarity as well. Okay, so you can try joining these things and try to establish similarity between two triangles. Okay, that can, so via that also directly you can get this relation if you want to skip P into P. But since it's JEE revision, mostly like JEE advanced problems I am taking, so it's helpful for JEE mains revision also, because nowadays mains mathematics has increased. So you must know this basic theorem. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. एक और feel है इस question का, like if some of you doubt like how rigorously you are telling like that it will be the only circle of minimum radius which touches this axis, of course. Don't tell sir, but this is having minimum radius if it is diameter. But the problem is there is point C must be on the x-axis. So these are automatically discarded because it doesn't contain point C. Okay. Actually what's happening over in this problem is under the situation actually what is happening in this problem is under the situation when the circle is become tangential compared to the situation when it is cutting it. Okay, so when a circle is cutting, well, like you will get two locations where you will have same theta, right? So if you are moving along the arc, it is preserving theta. The angle made on the arc will be same. So if you are moving along the line segment, so somewhere in between, angle will be maximum. So it was like angle started with theta. Along the line segment, angle changes. Along arc, it's constant, right? And it gets maximum somewhere, and then again it goes back to theta. So of course, if the starting point is, if you start with maximum value of theta, then at the end point also it will be some maximum. So you try to start with the angle which itself is maximum. That will happen in the tangential case, which you can do by little experimentation as I have discussed carefully. Yes, very nice. So all of you enjoyed this. Let's move to the third question. And this is again from parabola and circle combined. So we are doing mixed question of parabola and circle here. One parabola, one circle, and this. L is a set of all lines passing through 1, 1. So if you have got 1, 1, there will be infinitely many lines passing through 1, 1, and we call it L. Right? So if you see 1, 1, there will be infinitely many lines passing through 1, 1. Let's call it the collection of all these lines is set L. A and B represents set of all points of intersection of tangents drawn at the points of chord belonging to set L to the curve x square plus y square equal to 4 and y square equal to 4x. तो question क्या बोल रहे हैं? A is the set of, you read one by one, A and B respectively. It means two questions इन्होंने दे रखा है. A represents set of all points of intersection of tangents drawn at the end points of chords belonging to set L. Okay, to the curve x square plus y square equal to 4. So if it is x square plus y square equal to 4, okay, so if we'll take 1, 1, it will be definitely inside the circle. Now there are a set of lines here, right, which is passing through. So set L will contain different lines. Now set A represents set of all point of intersection of tangents drawn at the point of chords belonging to set L. So all these lines of set L will behave as a chord to the circle. Okay. So at the end points of chord, like when they intersect the circle, if we'll draw tangents, they'll meet at a point. Let's say this is P1. For another chord, you can play the game. They meet at P2. For other chord, maybe they meet at P3. So basically, we have to find on what curve these points are there. Right? So basically, locus of the point of intersection of chord passing through one component. It is clear? So that will make question easy because let's draw one representative diagram. तो इसके लिए क्या करेंगे हम एक representative diagram draw करते हैं. Let's say 1, 1, and one of the member of that family of L is, let's say, this line. Let's say the tangents drawn at the chords in point of chord meets at a point alpha comma beta. So basically we have to find the relation between alpha beta, right? because we have to find the locus of this variable point P. Again, one method will be you take a random slope of this chord M, write the equation y minus 1 is m times x minus 1, right? Solve this chord with the circle, get this point, let's call A and B. You'll get this point in terms of slope M, right? Again, write the equation of circle at point A, like on the circle. So let the slope of this line be M. So the equation of tangent of any random chord, because M is changing, chord can be anything, right? So for any particular M, you can write the equation of tangent at point A, because I'll solve this line with a circle and I'll get point A and B. Once I get point A, I can write the equation of tangent at A and B, and that will meet at point P. So we expect alpha and beta to be related with M, and then eliminate M, you'll get the locus. But that's very lengthy method, okay? So is there a smart way of doing this? The answer is of course yes. The smart way is we'll do reverse engineering. With respect to point P, indirectly tangents we have drawn, and that is passing through fixed point 1, 1. So point P के respect में AB क्या है? It's chord of contact, right? We'll have a detailed video on the essence and significance of chord of contact. तो point P के respect में AB chord of contact आ गया. अच्छा, तो मैं तुरंत से इसका equation लिख सकता हूँ, because to write the chord of contact equation, all of you must be knowing it's t equal to 0. So x square plus y square minus 4 is s. So t equal to 0 will give x1 x alpha plus y beta equals 4. I'm assuming like you know the chord of contact equation. It might feel nonsensical, like how t equal to 0 is giving chord of contact, क्योंकि tangent यहाँ पे तो draw ही नहीं किए हैं. It's like we are drawing tangent in air, and that's so nonsensical, like that point P is not even on the circle. Then how the hell you are writing tangent equation? And that's the beauty of chord of contact. You are doing some nonsense and it's giving you beautifully directly the answer for this chord without solving for tangent, right? Now you know this is always passing through 1, 1. So 1, 1 must satisfy this equation, right? क्योंकि ये chord of contact जो है ये किससे पास कर रहा है? आप कोई भी वैल्यू ले लो स्लोप का, ये तो 1, 1 से सेटिस्फाई कर रहा है, तो इस इक्वेशन को 1, 1 satisfy, and we got nicely alpha plus beta is 4. Hence the set A is basically set of all point xy such that x plus y equals 4. This is a cool set notation. So basically set A is a straight line, right? X plus y equals 4. Of course xy is real number and so on. Now similarly you can do the second question, like y square equal to 4x. It's exactly same, बस आपको repeat करना होगा curve के लिए. So y square. So similarly we can do second question. Y square equal to 4x के लिए फिर से मेरा point 1, 1 है. If I take a chord passing through 1, 1, let's say it meets parabola in A and B. The point of intersection of tangent at A and B, अगर ये P पे जा रहा है, तो again t equal to 0 with respect to this curve parabola क्या आने वाला है? y dash is 2 times x plus alpha. अब फिर से इस इक्वेशन को 1, 1 सेटिस्फाई करेगा. सो वी गॉट अ लोकस ऑफ अ पॉइंट बीटा इज 2, 1 प्लस अल्फा. सो इट्स बेसिकली y इक्वल टू 2x प्लस 2. तो दिस इज सेट बी, राइट? ये आपका सेट बी आ गया, वो सेट ए आ गया. आप क्लियरली दे सकते हो ए एंड बी रिप्रेजेंट्स लाइन, ए एंड बी रिप्रेजेंट्स सर्कल पैराबोला. दैट्स रॉन्ग. नाउ सिंस दिस इज टू लाइन हैविंग डिफरेंट स्लोप, सो दे विल बी इंटरसेक्ट exactly at one point. So it's a cool way of telling A intersection B means number of element, N means number of element common to A and B is 1 and B 0. So correct answer for this is A and C. So this was your third question, and you learned a lot from this, how to apply the reverse engineering for chord of contact. चलिए फिर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे चलते हैं. ये फिर से एक बहुत ही शानदार ब्यूटीफुल क्वेश्चन. S is the set of all xy such that x square plus y square is 1 and xy is real number. तो s क्या रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? एक सर्कल को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है. A and B be 2 points of contact drawn from point PAB. Okay. A and B be the points of contact of tangents drawn from point PAB. So एक point PAB outside होगा of course, otherwise you can't draw a tangent. ठीक है, यहाँ से हम 2 tangent draw किए. Let's call point A and B the point of contact. Now सपोज आई ए बी इन सेंटर ऑफ ट्रायंगल ए पी बी, तो इसका इन सेंटर ए पी बी का, सो लेट्स मेक फर्स्ट ट्रायंगल ए पी बी. नाउ व्हाट इज इन सेंटर? Just to recapitulate, incenter is point of concurrency of angle bisector. Incenter is point of concurrency of angle bisector. So if we'll take two angle bisector, they will intersect at a point, and magically the third will also intersect at a point. Okay, that is something not obvious. Basically, we have given a proof of this in our basic course. Usually, it's taught in class 9 and right, or in your initiation phase of 11th and 12th. So those who are interested, especially if you are preparing for IOQM, this course is still helpful. You can go through the proof. Okay, anyway, for as of now we are not interested. तो मुझे बस incenter का definition चाहिए इस question को समझने के लिए. तो एक incenter है, means I have to draw the angle bisector of point P and then angle bisector of point A. So let's say this is psi, this is some theta. So this point is incenter. Okay, so if point P changes, incenter will change because triangle will change, right? So it's I comma P comma B. The question is compute I of 2021 47 and I of 43. Okay, इसका मतलब जब ये point 2021 और 47 है, तो इसके corresponding incenter आएगा, कुछ value आएगा, कहीं पे आएगा ये. And when I'll take a point 43,1. So maybe let's say the point changes, the chord of contact will change. Okay, triangle will change, incenter will change. Does it make sense? And then you have to find the distance between basically these two incenters, because the meaning of P minus Q represents distance between P and Q. So question has already told this represents distance between two incenters basically. So indirectly they have given you two questions in one packet, right? आपको दो question एक कैप्सूल में दिया गया. तो obviously again we'll solve this with two idea. First idea तो blind problem solving. Blindly हम कैसे solve करेंगे? देखिए, I will show you for just a random point A and B and then you can do it, right? तो blindly अगर मैं कोई भी point P रख लिया outside पे, यहाँ से हमने tangent draw किया. Let's say point of tangents is A and B. Okay. Now you already know if I'll draw angle bisector. Okay. So the angle bisector of angle P will definitely pass through the center of circle. Why? Because this can be proved easily. If you'll connect O with A, it will be 90 degree. Tangent is perpendicular to the radius vector. और ये हाफ फोल्ड सिमेट्री से ये लग भी रहा है, because the entire system is symmetric about this. This is symmetric line, right? Line of symmetry. तो वहाँ से आप बोल सकते हो ये पूरा का पूरा फिगर जो है वो अपर हाफ वाला और लोअर हाफ वाला आपस में कन्ग्रुएंट है. एग्जैक्टली उसका कॉपी पेस्ट वर्जन है. तो यहाँ से आई कैन टेल दिस इज थीटा एंड दिस इज थीटा. इन लैंग्वेज ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स यू कैन शो ट्रायंगल ओ ए पी इज कन्ग्रुएंट टू ओ बी पी बिकॉज ऑफ RHS कन्ग्रुएंसी रूल, राइट. तो यहाँ से ये दोनों एंगल इक्वल हो गया. ये जो कॉर्ड है वो भी बाइसेक्टेड है. इट इज ओके. तो कॉर्ड भी अपना बाइसेक्टेड हो गया. तो यहाँ से आपका ये दोनों कन्ग्रुएंट हो गया, बिकॉज एनीवे दिस इज सेम एज रेडियस, इवन दीज एंगल्स आर आल्सो इक्वल. दिस इज 90 एंड दिस इज 90 माइनस थीटा, 90 माइनस थीटा. तो दी आर द इन्फॉर्मेशंस. अब मैं इंसेंटर देखो कैसे ब्लाइंडली फाइंड करूँगा विद द फॉर्मूला. पॉइंट पी इज ऑलरेडी नोन टू अस. ओके, लेट्स से इफ आई एम कैलकुलेटिंग 43,1. You don't have to actually do the calculation, but in method 1 you try to see like how lengthy it will be if you don't keep a smartness in problem solving. ठीक है, वो आपको बता रहे हैं. अगर कोई blindly solve करे तो it will take 15 minutes or maybe 10 minutes. If you are very good at calculation still it will take 10 minutes minimum. बाबू देखो कैसे. तो पॉइंट पी का कोऑर्डिनेट मालूम है. नाउ कैन यू गेट अ कोऑर्डिनेट ऑफ पॉइंट ए एंड बी? हाँ, अब पॉइंट ए और बी के लिए बहुत मेथड हो सकता है, ठीक है ना, कोऑर्डिनेट फाइंड करने के लिए. एक तो मेथड होगा जो आप इस लाइन का स्लोप को m मान लो, इक्वेशन ऑफ ये लाइन लिख लो बिकॉज पॉइंट इज नोन 43,1. ठीक है. इफ आई राइट द इक्वेशन ऑफ लाइन देन आई विल सॉल्व दैट लाइन विद द सर्कल. आई विल गेट अ क्वाड्रेटिक एंड विल पुट डेल्टा इक्वल टू 0, डी इक्वल टू 0. वहाँ से m1 और m2 का वैल्यू आ जाएगा. वंस यू नो द स्लोप ऑफ m1 एंड m2, you find the foot of perpendicular from origin to the line, so that will give directly point A. Similarly, foot of perpendicular from O to another line will give point B. So once you know point A and point B and point B, अब उसके बाद इंसेंटर कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे? इंसेंटर, सो यू नो इंसेंटर कोऑर्डिनेट विल बी ax1 प्लस bx2 प्लस cx3 यूजिंग फार्मूला a प्लस b प्लस c एंड सिमिलरली ay1 by2 cy3 by a प्लस b प्लस c। तो अब आपको फिर लेंथ ऑफ साइड्स ऑफ ट्रायंगल निकालने होंगे। सो लेंथ ऑफ टेंजेंट इज फाइन बिकॉज यू नो टेंजेंट का लेंथ क्या होने वाला है। सो पी ए इज रूट ऑफ s1, क्योंकि आप इवन पाइथागोरस थ्योरम यू कैन राइट पी ए स्क्वायर प्लस ओ ए स्क्वायर इक्वल्स पी ओ स्क्वायर बिकॉज पी ए ओ is a right angle triangle, right? So in this right angle triangle you already know OA, which is radius of the circle is 1. OP, you know, distance from origin to point P, so you can easily calculate AP. Basically this idea is also capsuled when you tell length of tangent is root s1, okay, like in the expression of circle directly put that point and the square root of that will get the answer. So root s से आप फाइंड कर सकते हो, और बेसिकली पाइथागोरस थ्योरम रूट एस फार्मूला इज नथिंग मोर देन पाइथागोरस। सो रूट एस से और पाइथा से हम ये डिस्टेंस फाइंड कर सकते हैं। सिमिलरली ये टेंजेंट का लेंथ इक्वल होगा, तो ये भी मालूम है आपको। ना हाउ टू गेट ए बी, कॉर्ड ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट का लेंथ कैसे फाइंड करें। कॉर्ड ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट भी इतना टफ नहीं है, क्योंकि आपको ये बड़े वाला ट्रायंगल में इफ आई टेक पी ए ओ इन दिस ट्रायंगल, so sin theta we know perpendicular by hypotenuse, so perpendicular is 1 which is radius, let me write a radius, okay, and then you can plug the values, और hypotenuse OP का distance है, तो ये तो आपको पता है, ये पता है। अब अगर sin theta तुम लगा दोगे इस ट्रायंगल में PA and let's say this point D and triangle PAD, तो सेम sin theta का वैल्यू अपने पास आ जाएगा AD by hypotenuse AP। Now AP we already know it is root s and AD distance यहाँ से आप कैलकुलेट कर लो, बिकॉज AD by root s will be R by OP, am I clear? तो यहाँ से AD will be R root s by OP। root s means root s1 I mean, right? मतलब लेंथ ऑफ टेंजेंट आप पाइथागोरस से करो या फिर जैसे, तो अब AD मिल गया, तो यू नो AB also it's 2 AD by congruency। So the point is now you know every length, but you see like how much time we are taking। तो आप AP फाइंड कर सकते हो, AB फाइंड कर सकते हो, और AB फाइंड कर लिया, और फिर कोऑर्डिनेट में फाइंड कर लिया सॉल्व करके। ये पूरे तामझाम करने के लिए आपको 10 से 15 मिनट लगेंगे, और फिर से वापस तुमको ये कोऑर्डिनेट इसमें डालना है, देन यू गेट इंसेंटर। इफ विल डू ऑल दिस, दोज ऑफ यू हु वांट टू रियली एंजॉय मैथमेटिक्स, यू ट्राई टू डू दिस and then you'll try to see what exactly incenter you are getting. You get a very interesting answer. You can pause the video and enjoy that. If you have less patience, तो फिर आप आगे सॉल्व कर देखिए। और अभी क्वेश्चन यही ख़त्म नहीं हुआ है, तो इससे आपको इसका इंसेंटर निकल जाएगा, ठीक है। मान लो कहीं पे फिर से आपको रिपीट करना होगा इस वैल्यू के लिए 2021 और 47 के लिए। इसमें कैलकुलेशन और गंदा होगा, क्योंकि डिस्टेंस आप निकालोगे तो बहुत ही बकवास कैलकुलेशन होगा। स्टिल अगर आप पेशेंस के साथ, मेरे पास तो इतना पेशेंस नहीं है, लेकिन आप पेशेंस के साथ निकालोगे तो एक दूसरे सिचुएशन में फिर से दूसरा इंसेंटर मिलेगा, ठीक। फिर से डिस्टेंस थोड़ा निकालो तो उसका आंसर आएगा। अब ये क्वेश्चन मैंने जब सेट किया तो ऑफ कोर्स देयर वाज अ ब्रेन टू दिस क्वेश्चन, ठीक है ना। आई वाज नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग यू टू सॉल्व दिस वे। तो अब इसका क्या स्मार्ट सॉल्यूशन पॉसिबल है? बिल्कुल पॉसिबल है। ओके, अब हम क्या करेंगे, इस क्वेश्चंस को इंस्टेड ऑफ डूइंग दिस इन लेंथी वे, we'll try to see the smart solution of this problem. So is there any smart solution by which we can solve the problem? Answer is obviously yes. देखो ये let me first create the situations. We're having point P, point of contact A and B. We'll join the chord of contact AB. So of course, if I'll connect the line joining center with P, it will be angle bisector, right? Now my claim is this is exactly the incenter of a triangle formed by external point P and by their chord of contact. That is something which is a wow situation, right? Because ये कैसा हो गया, exactly यही point incenter आने वाला। अब देखो, to prove this, if I can prove the line joining AI is exactly bisecting the angle A, right? तो अगर ये angle θ1 है और ये θ2 है, so basically we have to prove, if I can prove थीटा 1 इक्वल्स थीटा 2, देन माई क्लेम इज करेक्ट दैट आई इज इन सेंटर। ठीक है, अब ये प्रूव करना फेयरली ईजी है, क्योंकि आप इसको कनेक्ट कर सकते हो। इफ दिस इज थीटा 1, इफ आई कनेक्ट ओ विथ ए, सो व्हाट इज दिस फुल एंगल? This is 90 minus theta 2, right? Because ye theta 2 and this angle is 90. Clear? So angle OAI is 90 minus theta 2, because angle A is 90 pi by 2. अब देखो, अगर ये 90 माइनस थीटा 2 है तो ये एंगल कितना हो जाएगा? 90 माइनस थीटा 2। अरे हाँ या नहीं? बिकॉज OI एंड OA इज सिंपली रेडियस ऑफ सर्किल। नाउ क्वेश्चन इज ओवर, क्योंकि आप इस छोटू सा चिंटू सा ट्रायंगल में we have 3 angles. We have one theta 1, we have got another angle 90 minus theta 2, and we have another angle 90. ये 90 है because of the congruence. So now if you add them, it must be 180. So 90 minus theta 2 plus theta 1 plus 90 should be 180. अब ये गया theta 1 equals theta 2, and this was really magical. ये आपने शायद सर्कल्स करते वक्त कभी ऑब्जर्व नहीं किया हो। इनसेंटर इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट थिंग फॉर किड्स टू डू। ओके, और देखो कितना ब्यूटीफुल सॉल्यूशन है इसका। मतलब अगर मैं कोई भी सर्कल लूँ, कोई भी एक्सटर्नल पॉइंट लूँ, और पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट से अगर मुझे इनसेंटर फाइंड करना है, तो वो एक स्पेशल पॉइंट होगा दैट विल एग्जैक्टली बी द पॉइंट विच कट्स द सर्कल बाय द ज्वाइन ऑफ दैट पॉइंट इन द सेंटर, राइट? तो ये पॉइंट इनसेंटर आएगा। अब देखो, अब ये कैलकुलेशन कितना आसान हो गया। अब तुम देख सकते हो इसका इनसेंटर कहाँ होगा? 43,1 वाले का। सो इफ दिस पॉइंट इज 43,1, इनसेंटर इज हियर, राइट? बिकॉज इनसेंटर विल बी एट अ पॉइंट 0,0 लाइन लाइन। अब कोई बच्चा चाहे तो ही कैन फाइंड दिस। हाउ? बिकॉज दिस रेडियस इज ऑलरेडी नोन वन। नाउ यू कैन फाइंड टोटल डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम ऑरिजिन टू पॉइंट P. सो दिस डिस्टेंस विल बी d-1. D is known, so you can again divide it, use section formula to find I. इंटरनल डिवीजन इन द रेशियो 1:2. लेकिन अब इस क्वेश्चन में वो भी नहीं करना था। ठीक है, वंस यू हैव अंडरस्टूड लाइक दिस इज इन सेंटर, क्वेश्चन इज ओवर। बिकॉज 43,1, सो व्हाट इज द स्लोप ऑफ लाइन ज्वाइनिंग ऑरिजिन इन 43,1? इट्स 1/43. एंड ब्यूटीफुली यू कैन ऑब्जर्व वेयर व्हाट इज द स्लोप ऑफ लाइन ज्वाइनिंग ऑरिजिन विद दिस पॉइंट इज 47/2021. सो इट्स ऑल्सो 1/43. तो यहाँ पे एक और ऑब्जर्वेशन था, 43 इंटू 47 जो है वो 21 इंटू 1 है। इसका मतलब ऑरिजिन से ये दोनों पॉइंट का कनेक्शन जो है दे आर हैविंग सेम स्लोप। तो इसका मतलब दैट पॉइंट 21 एंड 47 इज ऑल्सो लाइंग ऑन द सेम लाइन। ये सुनो बाबू, राइट? तो अगर ये सेम लाइन पे लाई कर रहा है, सो फॉर बोथ ट्रायंगल इन सेंटर इज फिक्स्ड. So what is the distance in center? It's 0. So answer to this beautiful question is 0. क्योंकि अगर ये सेम पे लाई कर रहा है तो इस ट्रायंगल के लिए भी सेम इन सेंटर होगा, क्योंकि ये फिर से एंगल बाइसेक्टर हो जाएगा. यू कैन प्रूव एक्चुअली इन द सेम वे. इवन फॉर एनी अदर पॉइंट ऑल्सो द इन सेंटर लोकस विल बी फिक्स्ड. Okay, and that's the beauty. Means as long as you are moving along this line, the in center is not changing. Once you change the line, in center will start changing. Okay, so for any point P outside, in center will always lie on the circumference of the circle. ठीक है? So I hope you understand. इसमें आप चाहे तो सेंट्रॉइड का भी लोकस निकाल सकते हो. इनफैक्ट सेंट्रॉइड भी निकाल सकते हो. आप कैसे निकाल सकते हो? सेंट्रॉइड के लिए पॉइंट ए और बी आपको फाइंड करना होगा. पॉइंट पी इज ऑलरेडी नोन, लेट्स से 43, now how to find point A and B? I have already told you a long way with slope m1 and m2, but there is a smart way of finding A and B without actually writing the slope of P A P B. वो स्मार्ट में क्या है? विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू P आप कॉर्ड ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट का इक्वेशन आपको पता है, इट्स T = 0. So now what you do, you solve x² plus y² = 1 with T = 0. T is 43x plus 2y equals 1, right? इस दोनों को सॉल्व करोगे तो you'll get a quadratic in x. So that will give you point x1 y1 and x2 y2. Now for centroid you don't need even x1 and x2 separate calculation, क्योंकि centroid क्या आएगा? x1 plus x2 plus 43/3 and y1 plus y2 plus 1/3. Is this clear? So this is xg and yg. अब देखो सम ऑफ रूट आप निकाल सकते हो, क्योंकि you just plug y in terms of x here and you'll get a quadratic in x, right? Quadratic in x. और इस quadratic को solve करो और sum of root निकाल लो. The moment you'll put there, you'll get xg. Similarly, once you know x, you put that, because x1 will satisfy this, right? So what will get? 43x1 plus 2y1 is 1. And let me delete this. And we are going to get 43x2 plus 2y2 is equal to 1. So once you know x1 plus x2, add these two equations. x1 plus x2 is already known. So that will give you directly y1 plus y2. This is how you solve most of the question of coordinate geometry. So although I am solving circle question, but I am giving the hint for almost the basic crux of this chapter, right? तो यहाँ से आप y1 plus y2 भी निकाल लोगे, so आपका सेंटर आ जाएगा. One of the assignment which I am giving you is ortho center, which I will discuss in my next video. अब ortho center कैसे find करोगे? अब वो फिर आप यहाँ से एक perpendicular draw करोगे इस side पे. So you know ortho center will also be definitely on this line. But is that a special point like incenter, or is just random? Because from here, if I'll draw some perpendicular, we'll get some point. So ortho center is here, right? Incenter you know, ortho center you know. Circumcenter is interesting because it's 90 degree angle A. So of course a circle passing through OAB will also pass through OAP. क्यों? क्योंकि OP एज ए डायमीटर एक सर्कल होगा और OP एज ए डायमीटर ये भी सर्कल है. तो ऑफ कोर्स द सर्कम सर्कल ऑफ OAPB, a circle passing through OAP with OP as a diameter is basically circum circle of PAB. ठीक है, तो PAB का सर्कम सेंटर तो बहुत आसान हो गया, वो मिड पॉइंट हो गया ORP का. तो आपको सर्कम सेंटर पता है, ठीक है, सेंट्रॉइड पता है, और तो ऑर्थो सेंटर आप ऐसे भी कैलकुलेट कर सकते हो विदाउट डूइंग एक्चुअल कैलकुलेशन फॉर ऑर्थो सेंटर, राइट? बिकॉज HGO डिवाइड्स इन 2:1 रेशियो. तो आप इसके यूज़ करके ऑल ऑफ यू नो HGO in any triangle orthocenter, centroid and circumcenter are collinear, and it can be proved, and they divide in the ratio 2:1. The proof is very important, so try to prove this. That collinear, the line which contains them is known as Euler's name in due respect to Euler. तो यहाँ से orthocenter आ जाएगा. I want you to separately find orthocenter without using this 2:1 ratio. Okay, and you will be very surprised to know that orthocenter will be the image of center in the line AB. Orthocenter is image of center O in chord of contact, and this is a general theory right now for any triangle which is formed by a point P and chord of contact. So you can think why. Okay, so आप क्या करो, डायरेक्ट 0,0 का इमेज अगर ले लोगे ये chord of contact में, which is easy to find, t = 0, जो इमेज आएगा वही orthocenter होगा. Try to verify this by yourself. चलिए, we'll finish this today's lecture with the last question. So the question is, from the point -1,2 tangents line are drawn to parabola. So y square equals 4x. एक random point है -1,2. यहाँ से हमने इस पे tangent draw किया. So we have y square equal to 4x. There is a random point -1,2. And let's draw a tangent here. Let's say the point of contact is AB. So we have got, we'll have a triangle. If the area of triangle formed by chord of contacting tangent, so let's call this point -1,2 to be a P. So basically we have to find this area. Okay. Again, you can solve this question in many ways. Just say one way you can take a point like t1 square, 2t on 4x parametric form, t2 square, 2t. And the point where it will intersect, the point of intersection of tangent, आप इसको अल्फा कॉमा बीटा ले सकते हो. Okay, and you can use one relation from the coordinate geometry. What will be the slope of this line? 2t minus beta, 2t1 minus beta divided by t1 square minus alpha, right? And that will be equal to slope of tangent at point A. So 2y dash is 4x, so y dash is 2x by y, and y is here 2t, right? So it's actually not 4x, it's 4, I'm sorry. So 2 by 2, so slope of tangent will be 1 by t. तो यहाँ से it will be 1 by t1. So you will get one equation between alpha, beta and T1. Similarly, you can repeat the same thing. You'll get the similar equation 2T2 minus beta by T2 square minus alpha equals 1 by T2. अब इस दोनों को सॉल्व करोगे तो you'll get the point in terms of T1 T2, and that will be interesting point. That will get as a T1 T2. So it will be T1 T2 comma T1 plus T2. ठीक है, ये याद रखना आसान है क्योंकि if point A and B were too close, then point P will also be close. So dimensionally it is also like something into something. So it's like a T1 T2. If T1 is T2, it will take form of T1 square, and it will take 2T2. Anyway, so once you know T1 T2 is -1 and T1 plus T2 is 2, you can easily solve for the equations, right? So once we solve for the equation, आप directly you get the value of T1 T2. तो यहाँ से T1 T2 का क्या वैल्यू आएगा? अगर आप इसको सॉल्व करोगे तो T1 और T2 का क्या वैल्यू आएगा? ठीक है, आप इस चीज़ को सॉल्व कर लेना और T1 और T2 का वैल्यूज कर देना. जैसे यू माइट फील लाइक 1 and 1 into, but 1 and 1 is what? From the point -1, 2 is coming. So what is T1 minus T2 whole square? Is a plus b whole square minus 4a. So you are getting 4 and plus 4, so 8. So T1 minus T2 is 2 root 2. And T1 plus T2 is 2. So if you add this, you'll get T1 equals root 2 plus 1, right? And T2 equals 1 minus root 2. तो क्लियरली आप देख सकते हो, इफ आई मल्टीप्लाई T1 T2 आई गेट -1 एंड इफ विल ऐड इट विल गेट 2. तो यहाँ से आपको वैल्यू निकल गया है ये पॉइंट का और ये पॉइंट का. वंस यू नो द पॉइंट, यू कैन फाइंड द एरिया ऑफ ट्रायंगल बाय सोलेस फार्मूला और बाय डिटरमिनेंट. सो एरिया ऑफ ट्रायंगल इज हाफ इनटू x1 y1 1 x2 y2 1, ठीक है, एंड x3 y3 1. नाउ x1 y1 इज ऑलरेडी T1 स्क्वायर टू T1 T2 स्क्वायर एंड -1 2. तो ये करके भी हम सॉल्यूशन ला सकते हैं. सो दिस इज अ लेंदी वे, बट वन ऑफ द गुड टेक अवे इज यस, वंस यू नो 2 points on y square equal to 4x in general. So if point is T1 in T2, the point of intersection of tangent at T1 in T2 is given by a T1 T2 comma okay a times T1 plus T2. So it's basically one is geometrical mean and other is arithmetic mean, right? तो आप ऐसे कर सकते हो. ओके, काइंड ऑफ क्योंकि ये कितना आ जाएगा 81 स्क्वायर इंटू 82 स्क्वायर, उसका रूट लोगे तो ये ज्योमेट्रिक मीन हो गया दोनों पॉइंट के प्रोडक्ट का, और ये अरिथमेटिक मीन हो गया. तो इससे आप डायरेक्ट पॉइंट्स निकाल सकते हो, लेकिन वी डोंट नीड पॉइंट्स हेयर. सो लेट्स अगेन थिंक ऑफ ए स्मार्ट वे. नाउ दिस स्मार्टनेस विल कम बेस्ड ऑन ऑब्जर्वेशन. सो लेट्स अगेन सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम इन ए स्मार्ट वे. क्या मैं इस प्रॉब्लम को स्मार्ट वे से सॉल्व कर सकता हूँ? बिल्कुल. सो अगेन मेथड स्मार्ट. तो यहाँ पे आपको एक ऑब्जर्वेशन करना होगा. इफ यू डोंट नो द प्रॉपर्टी देन इट विल बी डिफिकल्ट टू ऑब्जर्व. यू सी द -1, 2 इज ए स्पेशल पॉइंट बिकॉज व्हाट इज द डायरेक्ट्रिक्स ऑफ दिस पैराबोला? यस, वेरी गुड. इसका डायरेक्ट्रिक्स क्या है? x इक्वल्स -1. तो अगर मैं पॉइंट -1, 2 ले रहा हूँ, सो दिस इज पॉइंट ऑन द डायरेक्ट्रिक्स. तो अब एक प्रॉपर्टी होता है, अगर डायरेक्ट्रिक्स से आप कोई भी कॉर्ड ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट ड्रॉ करोगे तो ये फोकस से पास करेगा. नॉट ओनली इट विल पास थ्रू फोकस बट ऑल्सो दिस विल बी ऑर्थोगोनल. तो ये एंगल जो होगा ये 90 होगा. ये आप प्रूव भी कर सकते हो, ठीक है ना. ये सिंपली एक्चुअली यू कैन प्रूव ऑल्सो. इवन फ्रॉम हियर यू कुड हैव प्रूव्ड because this slope you can calculate m1 m2 and you will see m1 m2 will be -1. So I leave it an exercise for you to go through its proof in general. ठीक है, इसका एक प्योर ज्योमेट्रिकल प्रूफ भी है which I will tell you in one video, like why it should be 90 from the pure geometry without using any coordinate geometry. तो ठीक है, तो अगर आपको ये पता है ये 90 है, तो इससे एक और फ़ायदा हो गया. इस ट्रायंगल का अगर कोई ऑर्थो सेंटर भी पूछ दे आपको, ठीक है ना, तो ऑर्थो सेंटर क्या होगा? ये पॉइंट पी इटसेल्फ हो जाएगा. सेंट्रॉइड पूछने के लिए अगेन आप तुम कॉर्ड ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट इसको सॉल्व कर लो लाइक प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन. गेट अ क्वाड्रेटिक एंड you'll get x1 plus x2. Put it in the line and you'll get y1 plus y2. सर्कमसेंटर करने के लिए इट मिड पॉइंट ऑफ ए बी क्योंकि ये 90 है. सो फॉर राइट एंगल ट्रायंगल circumcentrally mid point of A. So I am giving you more exposure to questions, not only the given question. ठीक है, लेकिन अपने को यहाँ पे क्या पूछ रहा है? What they have asked you is the area of this triangle. तो एरिया के लिए हाफ इंटू बेस इंटू हाइट का यहाँ यूज कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, अब हाफ इंटू बेस इंटू हाइट का कैसे यूज करेंगे यहाँ से? तो फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट यू कैन फाइंड द परपेंडिकुलर टू ए, राइट? So perpendicular distance from -1 to this line. अब ये लाइन का इक्वेशन आसान है because chord of contact, so t equal to 0. So which will give y1 y into -1 equal to 4 times x plus x1 by 2. So minus y is 2x plus 4. So this is chord of contact, right? Is clear? तो जैसे ही आपको एक chord of contact आ गया, so you already know this distance AB. How to calculate this distance? Again, you can be smart. Let's call it x1 y1 and x2 y2. तो अगर आप इस लाइन को, आई एम नॉट सॉल्विंग बाबू, यू कैन सॉल्व बाई योरसेल्फ. -2x -4. यू सॉल्व दिस विद पैराबोला y स्क्वायर इक्वल टू 4x. 2x plus 4 होल स्क्वायर इक्वल टू 4x. आप इसको सॉल्व करोगे, यहाँ से दो वैल्यू आएगा x1 x2 का. यू डोंट हैव टू फाइंड द वैल्यू बिकॉज व्हाट इज दिस डिस्टेंस AB? AB विल बी रूट ओवर x1 minus x2 होल स्क्वायर प्लस y2 minus y1 होल स्क्वायर. अब आप y2 minus y1 is nothing but -2 times x2 minus x1. Agreed? Because you put x1 y1 here and x2 y2 here and then subtract both equation. तो ये चीज़ तो डायरेक्ट हो गया 4 टाइम्स ऑफ x1 minus x2 होल स्क्वायर. तो AB का वैल्यू होगा मॉड ऑफ x1 minus x2 इंटू रूट 5. ठीक है, अब x1 माइनस x2 आप आसानी से उस क्वाड्रेटिक से डायरेक्ट फाइंड कर सकते हो. x1 माइनस x2 इज रूट ओवर a प्लस बी होल स्क्वायर माइनस 4ab. आप प्लग कीजिएगा तो यू विल गेट ab. वंस यू नो ab, जस्ट व्हाट्स रिक्वायर्ड टू बी फाउंड डिस्टेंस ऑफ अ पॉइंट फ्रॉम द लाइन. तो ये डिस्टेंस भी डिस्टेंस ऑफ अ पॉइंट फ्रॉम लाइन फार्मूला यू नो ax प्लस बी वाई प्लस सी वाई रूट ओवर ए स्क्वायर प्लस बी स्क्वायर. आप यहाँ से वो डिस्टेंस कैलकुलेट कर लो, हाफ इंटू बेस इंटू हाइट. ठीक है, सम ऑफ यू कैन ऑल्सो फाइंड दिस क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम अदर वे क्योंकि एरिया ऑफ ट्रायंगल विल बी हाफ AB sin theta. So if you know this distance and this distance, angle is 90. So you can also write half into, let's say this is d1 and d2. So half d1 d2 sin 90. Sin 90 is 1. So if I can calculate the distance of this point from this contact points, okay, then also it can be done because, but the problem is again to find the distance maybe you have to find the coordinate. So I think the second method was a better way of doing that. Okay, so thank you, have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll